Good morning and welcome to the 15 minutes Chassidus share. 15 minutes in quantity, but hopefully in quality. It'll affect your whole day with the chais. We're starting the Maamarim in preparation for Rosh Hashono, and it is the Maamarim the Rebbe said in Tavshin Mem Gimel, Yom Tov Rosh Hashono Shechal Special Shabbos. The Rebbe said it every Rosh Hashono Tavshin Mem Gimel. The beginning of the Maamarim addresses the famous question: how come we don't blow shofar on Rosh Hashono Shechal Special Shabbos? The Gemara says that in the concern that one will carry the shofar Dal Amos B'Shus Rabim, and therefore they said no blowing shofar Shabbos. Shofar is a mitzvah, it's the same in the Torah, and it's a very special mitzvah. It's an all-encompassing mitzvah. So how is it that the Chachamim could take away this opportunity from the tzaddikim gedolim, because maybe someone will carry a Dal Amos B'Shus Rabim? And then in the first place, the Rebbe goes on to explain the connection that there is between us here in Olam Hazeh and all the spiritual worlds. So we'll go into explaining this connection. And then in particular, there's a unique aspect of the shofar that is different to all other mitzvahs. Start learning inside. Yom Tov shel Rosh Hashanah shachal b'Shabbos b'mikdash hayu toikin avaloi b'Medina. On Yom Tov Rosh Hashanah that falls out on Shabbos, they blew in the Beis Hamikdash, but lo b'Medina, not outside the Beis Hamikdash. V'tzarich lahavin, we need to understand K'meish Medaig Admor Hatzemach Tzedek b'Maimah Divrei Hamaskul lahavnin natam, as the Tzemach Tzedek asks in his Maimah on Rosh Hashanah, which starts with the Divrei Maskul lahavnin natam. Hari Tkiyah Shofar he misses a say deraisa. Tkiyah Shofar is a misses a say in the Torah. K'meish Kosov Yom Trua Yilachem. The pasuk tells us Yom Trua Yilachem, which means it's a day of blowing shofar. And how could the Chachamim mevatel this mitzvah because of the exera? How possibly that someone will carry, maybe Shema, only possibly someone will carry the shofar dalet amos Rishus Rabim. So that's one question. Second of all, b'yoser yesh tamo, there's a wonder. The mizeh shebemikdash hayu toikim gam b'Rosh Hashanah shachal b'Shabbos, and this in the Beis Hamikdash they did blow on Shabbos. So therefore, hari mocher shemisses the kiyah shofar yesh na gam b'peil gam b'Rosh Hashanah shel Rosh Hashanah shachal b'Shabbos. That you do see that there is the mitzvah of blowing shofar, actually the mitzvah of blowing the shofar, not just it's a mitzvah in spiritual terms, but the Pil Mamish, that they blew in the Beis Hamikdash when it was on Shabbos. So if you're going to say that when Rosh Hashanah Shechal b'Shabbos, there's no physical mitzvah blowing shofar, you have all the spiritual dynamics, but not the physical mitzvah, maybe there'll be a someone who'll carry the shofar Dalet Amos in a Rishus Rabim. Therefore the mitzvah doesn't apply. But we see that in the Beis Hamikdash they did blow it. So it's not clear cut. There seems to be aspects of shofar that don't apply to Shechalis b'Shabbos. On the other hand, in the Beis Hamikdash, that's where the blowing of the shofar, it does apply. You can and should do the mitzvah. So then what is this gather of when Rosh Hashanah is on Shabbos that we don't blow outside of the Beis Hamikdash? There must be some unique aspect of the Beis Hamikdash that spurs on that we should blow shofar, that is possible to do it, and we're not worried about the possibility of carrying the Dalet Amos then. And so why did they take it away? Why did they mevatel this mitzvah outside of Eretz Yisrael, and even in Eretz Yisrael, outside of the Beis Hamikdash? Maybe someone will take it. Since we see that you have this, on the one hand, they were mevatel the mitzvah. On the other hand, in the Beis Hamikdash they did. What's the reason for the mevatling the mitzvah? Even on Shabbos, we still say the psuki shofars. In Musaf, Malchus, Zechrenis, and Shofars is the three special brachos that we add on Musaf Rosh Hashanah. And there we have psukim to talk about Shofar. So if there's no inyan of Shofar on Shabbos, why do we say the psukim? Even though that the saying of the psukim are connected to and come behemshach to the blowing of the shofar, the Rosh Hashanah shechal is b'Shabbos ein toikim b'Medina, and on Rosh Hashanah, which falls on Shabbos, you don't blow outside of the base of Mikdash. Is mikol makim and mirsa psukim migam b'Rosh Hashanah shechal b'Shabbos. We still say the psukim also. So here we have this. It leads us to what is the dynamic of the shofar. What's the inyan of the shofar that it applies sometimes? In other words, in the base of Mikdash, even on Shabbos, outside not. And how do the psukim that we say all over the world, outside of the base of Mikdash, we say those psukim on Shabbos, that's Rosh Hashanah, even though we don't blow the shofar. And there seems to be a link, since we blow shofar first in Shul, then the psukim, there's a link between blowing shofar and the psukim. So when we don't blow shofar, you would think you don't say the psukim, but we do. So we're leading into what is the gather? What's this whole inyan of shofar? What does it bring out? What's the inner meaning of it and the purpose of it? And how does it connect to the psukim as well? So to explain the next piece of the Maamar, you have to give a little bit of background. And that is that there's a famous question, old question, that we live in a physical world where there's a lot of details and pratim. Everything has its own place. You have doim smecha, medaber, inanimate objects, vegetation, animals, people. Every aspect of the world is defined and separate and defined. The sun is not the moon. You have different species of all categories. There's thousands of different types of all of stones, of vegetation, of life, and all different types of people. The Gemara says that the same way as everybody's face is different, everybody's mind is different. There's myriad of different types of creations and bits of creation. It's all very limited, all very bagbola. The human body is extremely complex and complicated, full of details. The Ramach Avram Shasog Yidim, 248 bones, the limbs and bones, and 365 sinews, etc. So there's a very defined world we live in. Spirituality and Hashem, we say, is bligvul. He's without limit. We live in a world that's a gvul, that's a limited world, very formatted, but we come from a spiritual entity which is unlimited, unformatted, bligvul. We say not finite. The source from whence we come is unfinite. Hashem doesn't have form. Part of our basic belief is that Hashem doesn't have form, not a body form and not a spiritual form. That's Hashem. That's our emunah. And it makes sense that if we're a created entity, any aspect of doing creation means that before the creation it doesn't exist. We're created with a form, so before creation there has to be a no form. Otherwise, where does that form come from? And the language is Hashem is mechuyev v'metzius, and we have sharis in metzius. Hashem is an existence that is from Him Himself, he's not from somewhere else, and we are all creations and dependent on His energy to exist. How do you get from something which is unformatted, something which is bligvul, without any structure, into a world that is so defined and so structured? So Hashem has created a flow of divine energy which takes on form. It's very complicated. With our minds, you think something spiritual is something floaty without form. It's not the case. The energy which is the precursor to our universe and all the parts of the universe, is also extremely complex. And it comes in different stages and different ways of describing it. One way of describing this energy is Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, and Shem Elikim, Shem Havai, Shem Elikim. We say Shem Elikim is that energy of Hashem which is vested in nature, and He's hidden. You have the Shem Havai, Yud Kei Vav Kei, the miraculous level of Hashem. And then we have another system, or another way of describing the system, and that is the spheres. 10 spheres. Chochmah, Bina Das, Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus. 10 spheres. And spheres are made up of parts. Oiris and Kalim. Oir is Giloi, a revelation of an energy. The Kalim is that which limits and contracts the energy. So there's and the two things work together. You have the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Yud depicts Chochmah, the first Hey Bina, the Vav, the 6 Midas, and the final Hey Malchus. So you have a structure that Hashem created. And this structure is on many levels also. In general terms, you come from the unfinite, unformatted energy of Hashem, which we'll call Bli Gvul, to a release of energy where there is Gvul, where it's limited. And so you have the structure of the Olamus, the 4 Olamus, Atzilus, Bri, Yitzir, Nasiyah. And they flow from above to below. The purpose of creation, and so it's an entity that exists. In the same way as you have in the person. The person has multiple layers. What you see is the body. What's behind the body? In the body itself, there's nerves, bones, flesh, veins, arteries, hormones. And then you've got a deeper layer of the person. That's their ability to do something. Misa, the ability of going from from potential energy to kinetic energy. You've got the ability to speak. We've got that we can think. We're thinking creatures. We have feelings of love and fear, of attachment, of restraint. And we've got the ability to create new ideas, to think things out, to discover ideas. We have a will, the Ratzon, will to do stuff. And we've got an inner motivational level that generates everything that we want to do, inner Tainuk. Multiple layers. There are multiple layers in the spiritual worlds and spiritual dynamics also. And so there's this flow from the unfinite to the finite. The purpose of this is there should be a dwelling place for Hashem in our world. And so as He's formatted these spiritual worlds, He's done it in a way that comes from the Ratzon Hashem, Hashem's will. He desired to have a dwelling place in this world. Therefore, there's a Ratzon to create. So everything in this formatted spiritual energy flows out of the Ratzon of desire to create a world. The purpose being Torah mitzvahs. So within this structure, there's got to be a mirror of how neshama and guf is here below as well. As the Torah says, Nasa Adam b'tzalmeinu kidmaseinu, the neshama is drawn out of the Esespheres, Lamaila, in order that you can have a neshama b'guf, through the Avodah, bring godliness down into the world. Why is it important to understand this? Because if you understand how the spiritual worlds work, then it helps for the person to be able to develop a love for Hashem and give chayes into the avodas Hashem that we do. So this is the beginning. We'll continue this next shiurim Mitzvah Hashem and add on a couple of points. Thanks for joining. Have a great day.